Hiya, Emily asked me what do I think about feminism in LARP, and uh, this is a bit tricky for me because uh, looking at it, there doesn't seem to be one definition of feminism that seems to stick. I mean, you could look at the Wikipedia definition, but you'll get a lot of people disagreeing with it. You'll get a lot of people in support of it. Um, so I think it depends about what exactly we're talking about. Um, Basically, as far as I'm concerned, people, whether you're male, female, gay, straight, transgender, uh, whatever you want, um, should be treated equally and fairly. And for me, that's basically where that ends. Um, but then you've got problems of, well, what do people consider fair? And that's where I've seen some fairly extreme posts. Uh, I mean, seeing people go from. I mean, well, one thing I've seen is people saying uh, women should be allowed to be a fighter. As far as I'm aware, you're not allowed. It's absolutely fine for you to be one. I've been LARPing 14 years, and I've never come across a game where you're not allowed to be one. Actually, tell a lie. When doing some research on a few Nordic LARPs, I've come across games where women haven't allowed to be combatants. But I don't play Nordic LARP. I've got no interest in playing Nordic LARPs. But on the UK scene, I've never seen it. I'm not saying it hasn't existed. It might well have. There might be some fringe group out there somewhere that does this, but I've never ever come across it. For me, this all started for me. I think it was about 2.5 years ago now. One of the bigger LARPs ran an event, and someone said something along the lines of they were not following the orders of a woman general. And yeah, I mean, as far as I can work out, they shouldn't have said that at all. They were wrong to do so. And people complained, and I understand the complaint. The problem is, it didn't stop there. I'm going to say it didn't stop there. As far as I'm aware, the sexism did. Obviously, there may be. I imagine there's little incidents all the time of sexism as well as racism and homophobia. Because at the end of the day, LARP's got a lot more popular. There's a lot more people in it, and with more people, you get more real world crap. So you will get LARPers who are deeply racist, deeply sexist, deeply homophobic. So I'm not for a moment saying these problems don't exist. They do. What I think has been far, far, far more disruptive to LARP is not the people who have been deeply bigoted and is not those people. I think it's actually been the counter protests against these people have truly disrupted games, as far as I can see. I mean, what I might consider a disruption to a game, someone else might consider not to be. So that is open to debate. But shortly afterwards, I was at a fairly large LARP, and I saw it twice, where there were some people walking around with a whiteboard that said, "I need feminism because," written on it. Which I thought was a strange way to protest this in itself, because I'd like to know the because bit. I'd like to know the after statement. But okay, I'm cool with it. You fill in your own gap. Now, for me, I don't go to LARP to be protested at. I don't think a LARP is a place to be doing that either. a lot of people go to a LARP effectively as their holiday, not as their political stage or whatever. But what annoyed me is when I saw this in the icy area. People going around in the icy area with a whiteboard saying, da, 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 da. That immersion breaking, really, really annoying. I wasn't pleased with that. So that's where it started for me. But I've mostly seen it online than at games themselves, to be fair. The problem is what I've seen online makes it sound like there's been some sort of massive pandemic of women getting trodden on in LARP, and I just, all right, fair enough. I'm a guy. I'm not going to see this as well as other women, and I'm not going to pretend either. Having said that, some of the examples I've seen given, I don't think are sexist. Yeah, someone lost an election to, in one loss, they hold elections for a few positions, and I've seen someone complain about the sexist result that a man got elected. And as soon as you jump to that, you lose my respect. Maybe they made a better speech than you. Maybe they bribed better than you, in character-wise. Maybe there could be out-of-character reasons, such as more of their friends in that group turn up to vote or whatever, and they're going to vote for their mate. Which in itself is bad roleplay. But there could be lots of reasons that are anything but sexist. And when you jump to that, you lose my respect. So I'm skirting around some edges here because this is the first time I've really opened up about this. There's much more. Some of it I wouldn't necessarily put down to feminism, but I think I'll put down as a result of what happened a few years ago, which sort of barrel rolled and barrel rolled and barrel rolled until it became an issue encompassing many issues. So I'll briefly go into one. This probably needed a whole video just for itself. But when I was running a live action roleplay, we started getting emails just after our third event. We started getting emails from quite a large group of players who had a list of demands, and they were obscene, to be honest. For example, they wanted us to put in place a rape policy. I don't think I need a rape policy at a game any more than I need a murder policy or, an identity theft policy. These things are already illegal. That's the policy. That you can't do it. It's but they wanted to know in the hypothetical, what would we do if someone at one of our games got sexually assaulted? To which my answer would be immediately stop play, make sure people are okay, and phone the police. And all that happened within like 30 seconds, as fast as you possibly can. But apparently that was the wrong answer, according to them. And it wasn't the stopping play or making sure people were okay. It was the calling the police, which they felt was the wrong answer. Because the police mightn't believe the victim. Well, yeah, okay, they mightn't, and they'll want evidence, and that's how things work when we're trying to work out a crime. But I've got to worry when you don't want me to phone the police. I worry about your intentions. But more than that, even if your intentions are good, they're purely for the victim. They're not you trying to figure out a way you can get around some pretty heinous acts. If you're worried that the police might believe the victim, so we shouldn't phone the police, then what do you want me to do? I mean, I'm phoning the police. That's what I'd do. But I, you're asking me to let a rapist get away with it. I question your motives when you're asking me things like this. But it wasn't. This wasn't just one individual. Several people were tagged into to the email. And I've also seen that discussion on, I think, on one of the, sorry, without naming names, one of the Facebook LARP groups. I've seen a similar discussion, and I didn't actually come across anybody else other than myself who was commenting, suggesting you should phone the police. Everyone seemed to be quite against that. That's incredibly troubling. Another troubling thing that's happened with all this is it's happened a few times. I think twice off the top of my head. There may have been more. Where people have put up like a web page where you could post anonymously. I can't say that anonymously. About who did what at a LARP. So almost like creating a blacklist. And that troubled me. That you could post anonymously, name people, which people were doing left, right, and centre, and saying this person sexually assaulted me, this person made me feel threatened, or this, And don't get me wrong, I'm sure many of these were true, but some of them might have just been barefaced lies. And when that was suggested by myself, that we should be more careful here, we should have. I think we collectively should hold a bit of responsibility if we're going to go on a witch hunt without any evidence. I was shouted at quite badly for that one, for suggesting evidence should be used. How dare I not believe the victim? And that's not what I said. What I said was we should have a burden of proof. Because ultimately, if someone is lying about it, you have just destroyed someone's life. And there are several people who are absolutely no longer in the LARP community anymore who that has happened to. And the LARP community as a whole feels that that was fine, it was justified, it was good, they're the good guys for doing that. And you're not. A burden of proof. And also, if it's true that these people sexually assaulted someone, contact the police. What are you doing? What are you doing? Just post it up on an anonymous website that comes down and after 48 hours or something. No, contact the police. I think that there's some serious problems in thinking and morality, quite frankly, in large parts of the LARP community. And to be honest, for such a liberal community on the whole, I mean, it really is. On most issues, I think everyone is fantastic. Getting behind gay rights, and everyone shares things. I mean, obviously this is not to do with LARP, they just happen to be LARPers, but they tend to be universally sharing things about equality and the right for gays to get married, and things like that. And I think it's brilliant. I think it's an incredibly liberal community, but on a few certain topics is disastrous. Can't use reason on quite a few topics. Anyway, I'm sure I'll make a part 2.